Hello, we are doing the hamstrings today and I have my fabulous assistant Marley here with me who has very willingly let me draw on him. So as I said, we are covering the hamstrings. So the hamstrings collectively consist of 3 muscles. I'm going to cover the names of them again, just for remembering for at level 3 stage, we will just generally call them the hamstrings. However, for accuracy and knowledge, then having the name of all 3, and I'm going to go into them, is needed. Okay, so the 3 names of the hamstrings are the semimembranosus, the semitendinosus, and the biceps femoris. I've coloured them in differently as with groups of muscles, it's very difficult when they all overlay on top of each other to try and present them. So I've done the best I can with the colours I have. Okay, so we have in this bluey green colour coming up here is the semimembranosus. In red is the semitendinosus, and hopefully you can just see it, is the orange is the biceps femoris. Okay, so all 3 muscles have the same origin, except for biceps femoris, which has an extra origin, but we'll just cover where they all come from at the minute, which is they all have an origin here on the ischial tuberosity. Mine went blank for a second. Is it the ischium in here, the ischial tuberosity. For those of you, which is known as your sitting bone, is what you sit on, the bone you feel if you sit on it or hit on it. And those of you who speak Welsh, a way of remembering it is ishtelawr. Sit down, ischium, ishtelawr. Okay, so they all come down here for an origin and start here and come down. Like I said, the biceps femoris has an extra origin where there's just a bit of it where it attaches to the femur here. Okay, roughly here anyway. Okay, they then all come down, and the semimembranosus and semitendinosus essentially have the same insertion point. Okay, so they both come into the medial condyle of the tibia. The semitendinosus comes a bit further down into the surface of the shaft of the tibia, and the membranosus stays a bit higher up on the condyle, but they basically both come down onto the medial side of the tibia. The biceps femoris here comes down and over then onto the head of the fibia. So tibia, fibia, down into here. Okay, so we're then going to move on to the action of the hamstrings. Okay, so the first action of the hamstrings, they have a few, is to flex the knee. So Molly's going to hold on to me, and he's flexing the knee. So bringing it back down again, extending the knee, but we flex the knee to bring it back up, which is the job of the hamstrings. Simple, good. Okay, the other job of the hamstrings is to extend the hip. So to extend the hip, I'm going to help Molly keep his balance, and he's going to bring his leg backwards. And that is extending the hip. We can see the hamstrings kicking into action here. Okay, I've slightly missed one off there on this side there. It should have come out a bit further. But just bring it forward again for me, Molly, just to see if we can see the action, and then bring the leg back again for extending the hip. Excellent. Okay, and just straighten the leg, bring it back forward. Brilliant. And then we have a couple more moves. So we can bend the knee, and Marley's going to struggle with his balance here, but I'm going to hold on to him. So he's going to put his hand on my shoulder actually while I move the knee. Okay, so while the knee is bent, the semimembranosus and the semitendinosus, semimembranosus and the semitendinosus medially rotate the knee, so they help turn it in. Okay, medially rotate. And the action with the biceps femoris is it can laterally rotate the leg while the knee is flexed. So laterally rotate, medially rotate. Okay, and then bring it back down. So basic functions of the hamstrings, mostly through running. So Marley, if you can run on the spot for me. Yeah, we can see the hamstrings working quite firmly there, and that's excellent. Okay, you can relax it down. But what the hamstrings actually end up doing more than anything is they slow the leg down at the end of its forward swing to prevent our trunk, top half, from flexing at the hip joint, bending too far forward. Okay, but they're heavily utilised when it comes to running and walking, and we use our hamstrings a lot. Okay, generally with injuries on the hamstrings is you've asked it to go too long, too quickly without warming up. can be the case. A lot of muscles, hamstrings work quite hard, and typically in people they tend to be short and tight. So you ask to overstretch it and something will go twang generally. Okay, a good example of that is the splits. So if you've not warmed up enough and you're not flexible enough and you try and force yourself into the splits, then something along here is probably going to give you a shout or a twang. Okay. Other areas that can show up as problems when the hamstrings are tight is, again, lower back pain, as it's pulling up, insertion to origin for shortening, pulling up. Okay, this will then actually in turn pull down on the lower back and cause problems, so it contributes into then there being a glute issue, which typically tend to be very tight with people, and the hamstrings being too tight, and it presents as back pain here. Sometimes knee pain. I tend to find that if it's knee pain, it's linked more with the quadriceps, but all muscles work in partnership, hamstrings and quadriceps being particularly a pairing group of muscles. They work with each other to function. Okay, and then sometimes you will find that people come and see you and say that they have a leg length difference. Is many things that can cause this, but one of them being is that the hamstrings can be tighter on one leg compared to the other, and it presents as if it's a leg length difference, and it's not necessarily the case. It's a hamstring issue. Okay, there we are, and that's your basic hamstring information covered for you. So Marley, do you want to give everyone a wave and say bye?
Bye.
Bye all.